Hey guys, there is a shortness to life. It's fleeting, it's momentary, and it's in the moment that we've got to focus. And the moment to me is thought and how we enhance, develop, and maximize thought. And the way I do it, and what I'd like to be able to share with you, is how I develop thought. And the way I do it is through prayers. And it's through prayers and not meditation, because with meditation, I don't believe you need to actually believe that there is a higher power that exists. But when I observe the universe, when I look out and see my own existence, I see design and order. I don't see chaos and disorder. So if there is no chaos and there's no disorder, as far as my view of everything around me is, then there has to be a designer, an organizer. And for me, that is what I call the higher power. You can call the higher power whatever you want. You can call it nature, you can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it infinite intelligence, you can call it the source, you can call it the universe, you can call it evolution. Whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to ascribe that name to, I call it the higher power, Allah, God. And I believe that prayer is a higher form of meditation, where you actually are aware of the higher power and you connect to that. So there is a shortness to life, and it is momentary, and it's about the moment. So the moment is what we have to maximize. And for me, each moment is about thought and how we enhance thought. Prayer is the mechanism I use to enhance thought, to maximize thought. And how do we do that? Well, the point is this, that there is a sequence that if you follow in your thoughts, it is a prayer that leads you to maximize your moment, maximize your awareness, maximize your thought. And it is this. It goes in 3 or 4 stages. Stage 1 is gratitude. So the first phase of thought, the first thinking in thought that you have to do, is you have to have gratitude. That means a higher level of awareness, where you actually are conscious of your own awareness. You're conscious that you exist. You're conscious that there are things around you, and you have gratitude for that consciousness. That you're grateful for your own existence, for the sky, the sun, oxygen, your sense, your feeling. You have gratitude, you have appreciation, you're conscious. And so that's the first phase of thinking. But then the second phase of thinking is when you get that awareness, that consciousness, that you are alive, that you're existing, and that there is order and design around you. Then you also become aware of the fact that something has to have created that. So the next phase of thinking, the next thought of thinking, is recognition of the higher power. So you have one thought that's about awareness and gratitude, and then the next thought that compounds that is the next level, is connection or awareness of the higher power. And then when you have an awareness of the higher power, you want to connect to that. So what you have to think is, well, who is the higher power and how do you connect to that? And we aren't able to observe the higher power. We have no ability, no capacity to understand who the higher power is in terms of direct understanding, direct communication, because if we did have that capacity, we would have to be the higher power to be able to appreciate that capacity, but we don't. So we don't recognize the creator directly. We recognize the creator indirectly through its creation. So we have to do it through observation. When we look around the universe, we see order, and we see design, and we see complexity. So the higher power has to be all-knowing, all-wise, almighty, omnipotent, the sovereign, the supreme. So these are all attributes that we ascribe to the higher power indirectly through observation, because we don't know, we cannot see the higher power directly. We don't have that capacity to be able to do that. So the next stage is basically in your thoughts is ascribing attributes to the higher power, so that you have a clear picture through those attributes of who that higher power could be. And so there is gratitude and awareness, then there is recognition of the higher power, and then the third stage of thought is connection to that higher power through an awareness of its attributes. And then the fourth stage is, once you recognize those attributes, that God, Allah, the source, the universe, nature, infinite intelligence, evolution, it is all-knowing, all-wise, omnipotent, omnipresent, the sovereign, the supreme. Once you recognize all of that, then you have in your thoughts humility. What does that mean? It means that you recognize that you're not the creator of your life, and nor are you the determiner of the death of your life and the outcome of your life, if there is one, afterwards. Because you didn't create yourself, you're not going to kill yourself, because that's not ingrained in us. That's a separate, suicide is a separate discussion, but you're not the determiner of your death. Genetically, you don't choose to die in terms of your biology. And so if the higher power exists and it's the determiner and it's the creator, then you're in awe of all of that, and you recognize that it's the determiner. Then you become insignificant in your consciousness. You become aware in your consciousness of your humility, of your nothingness. And that awareness, that recognition, that realization gives you humility. It relinquishes you. You basically acknowledge, you submit to that awareness. And that's where you get to neutrality, your nothingness. When you're fully conscious with certainty in that awareness, that's when you get to nothingness. And that nothingness is where you've taken the noise away from you receiving the signal from the higher power. Because when you go through those sequences, 4 sequences of awareness, of prayer, where you do gratitude, you become aware of the higher power, you become aware of the higher power's attributes, and you connect to those attributes, and you become humble. It's a sequence where you're creating a state, and that state is resonating at a particular frequency, and that frequency has allowed you to basically cancel out the other noise and connect directly to that frequency. That frequency is the frequency with which the higher power communicates with you, because now there's no noise and you can just feel. So that feeling is called intuition. And the clearest form of intuition is what I call your God particle. Intuition is the God particle. It's your connection to source at that frequency which you have to get to. It doesn't just happen. It's something that you work to. It's called a state. You get to that state. And then when you get to that frequency, you're able to receive feeling, and you have to act on that feeling. So the journey of life is in your prayers to maintain, to get to that state, and then sustain and keep it going. So the analogy I give is of the surfer on a wave, the surfboarder. So if you imagine the first 4 stages where you're doing the gratitude and awareness, the understanding of the existence of the higher power, realizing the attributes of the higher power and connecting to those attributes, right? And getting humble. For me, that activity is like the surfer taking the surfboard from their house, driving it to the beach, and getting down and into the water. And then that feeling of intuition is the surfer jumping onto the board and getting ready for the wave. It's it's primed and ready to feel the wave and balance on the wave when the wave comes. So the next stage, after you get to that state, that awareness, that maximizing of the moment, what I call, the development of thought, the next stage is maintaining and sustaining that. So to maintain and sustain that position on the surf board, what you have to do is you have to maintain focus. So you have to have the courage to be on the surfboard and to maintain focus, discipline, right? So you have to be positive. So you have to be positive to get up on the board and know that you can do it. You have to have the courage, and then you have to not give in. You have to sustain. You have to keep going. So you have to program those three activities: positivity, courage, and not giving in, as the three next stages of your prayer. That once you're aligned at the intuitive level, and you're connected to source, you're humble, you're in a state of submission, then you pray, you ask, you talk to the higher power, and you ask them for courage, for doing only what's positive, which is what is right, and staying the course, not giving up, not giving in, not being led astray, deflected, or taken away, your attention's taken away in any way. So you become the surfboarder, the surfer that rides the wave throughout, and then obviously your timeout is your end of life. So you try and ride the wave, balancing all the time till the end. So, like I said, life is very short. There's a shortness to life, and it's fleeting, and it's about the moment. And our journey is to maximize the moment. It's about maximizing thought. And how you do it, I've just explained, is you develop a practice. You have to go in off the field, and you have to put in a practice of developing thought through prayer. And I've given you the sequence of how you pray and how you connect to source through your awareness, right? So we've got gratitude, recognition of the higher power, defining the attributes of the higher power, becoming in awe of those attributes, negating your own self-esteem, your recognition of your higher self, and then finishing it off with a prayer within that prayer to give you, let you focus only on what's right, positive things, having courage, and then not giving up, not giving in, and sustaining the course. So I think that's good for now. I hope that's helped. Why don't you leave some comments for me at the bottom, and let me know what you think, what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, what you do in terms of how you maximize your moment in thought, and how you develop thought, and how you maximize your life as well. It would be wonderful to share your thoughts as well. Thank you guys. Take care.